June 2008. In Taizhou City, Jiangsu Province, China. A fisherman accidentally discovered the body of a woman hidden inside an iron barrel floating on the river. The man had no idea he would become a witness to a mystery that would last for 12 years. The body was severely decomposed, but the most haunting detail was the child inside her womb. That's right, she was 7 months pregnant. What could have led a pregnant woman to such a tragic fate? Who was she? Don't look away. This video will uncover the most horrifying details and the pain the victim endured for 12 years. Before we begin, like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any shocking crime cases. June 21, 2008. A scorching morning in Guangyuan District, Taizhou City, Jiangsu Province. Lao Lu, a fisherman nearing 60, had spent over 3 decades fishing on this river. He knew every current, every bend. But that morning, he saw something unusual. A large blue object drifted on the water. It was an iron barrel about 2 meters long, old but still intact. A putrid stench filled the air, making him recoil. Both curious and uneasy, he took a bamboo pole and poked at the barrel. No reaction. He hesitated, then pried open a small gap on the lid. Half-open eyes appeared. A face, swollen and disfigured from prolonged water exposure. A corpse! Lu screamed, frantically paddling his boat to shore to call the police. Under the harsh June sun, a thick stench of decay spread, signaling the horrors inside. The local police arrived at the riverbank within minutes. A team of forensic experts rushed toward the blue barrel floating near the shore. The barrel had a peculiar structure. 3 sides were sealed, while the 4th was welded with iron bars like a cage. Signs of corrosion showed it had been submerged for a while, yet the welding was intact, with no signs of forced entry. The barrel was heavier than it appeared. As the rescue team hoisted it with chains and a crane, muddy water seeped out, mixed with a dark, thick fluid. When the lid was pried open, even the most seasoned forensic experts stood frozen in shock. A woman's body, curled up inside. Her skin wrinkled from prolonged immersion, her face unrecognizable. An electrical cord was wrapped tightly around her neck. There were no defensive wounds, no external injuries. She had been murdered before being placed in the barrel. Preliminary examination revealed the victim was a young woman, between 25 and 28 years old, around 1.6 meters tall. Her body weight indicated she was pregnant. A more detailed check confirmed the fetus was around 7 months old. A shocking discovery for the investigators. No ID, no personal belongings. Her clothes were intact, with no signs of struggle or assault. The barrel was custom-made, not an industrial container. Based on the evidence, police concluded the barrel was thrown into the river from a nearby highway bridge. Their theory was confirmed. Scratches on the bridge's railing matched the dimensions of the barrel. The perpetrator had used a vehicle large enough to transport it. The most critical task now was identifying the victim. However, no missing persons reports matched her description in the area. No one came forward to claim the body. Water decomposition had erased her fingerprints, making identification nearly impossible. The only clue was the deep scratches on the railing, matching the iron barrel's size. The investigation team theorized the perpetrator couldn't have done this alone. The barrel weighed dozens of kilograms, plus the body, meaning at least 2 people or someone physically strong was involved. What kind of vehicle could transport this barrel? Police analyzed. Only a 5-seater car or a small truck had enough space. This ruled out motorcycles or small private vehicles. Investigators reviewed surveillance footage from June 1st to June 21st, focusing on toll booths near the crime scene. Their goal: identify any vehicles that had stopped on the bridge during that period. But things weren't that simple. Over 10,000 vehicles had passed through. Trucks, sedans, buses, any of them could have been involved. Filtering suspects became a daunting task. Meanwhile, the search for the victim continued. But none of the surrounding villages reported a missing person. no one matched the description of the recovered body. Police turned to another approach, DNA comparison with the national database. This was the fastest way to identify the victim. But there were no matches. This meant either she wasn't local or she had never been registered in the system. No identity, no witnesses. The case hit a dead end. The only evidence was the corpse, but even that was losing investigative value. Prolonged water exposure had destroyed most of the victim's fingerprints. Her skin had peeled away, making fingerprint recovery nearly impossible with 2008 technology. No identity, no suspect, no fingerprints. An anonymous corpse drifted in the river, swallowed by darkness. The police could not move forward, but they refused to give up. The Taizhou police decided to reconstruct the victim's face. They collaborated with forensic experts, using facial reconstruction technology to restore the appearance of the deceased woman. A digitally recreated image of the victim's face was sent to over 80,000 police stations nationwide. A large-scale search operation was launched, checking all missing persons records from the past decade. Police examined population records, reviewed missing person reports, and compared thousands of DNA samples with the national database. But no matches were found. 12 years passed. Despite relentless efforts, the woman in the iron barrel remained a mystery. Until 2020, when a major breakthrough occurred. China's Ministry of Public Security launched a campaign to track down criminals and solve cold cases. The corpse in the iron barrel case was classified as a priority. Forensic technology had advanced significantly. Experts decided to restore the victim's fingerprints using cutting-edge biological scanning techniques. May 23, 2020, after multiple attempts, the victim's fingerprints were successfully restored. Tension filled the investigation room. The automated fingerprint system ran a search. A match appeared on the screen. The name displayed, Wang Li, a woman from Anhui province. According to records, 2 months before her murder, Wang Li was arrested for illegal gambling. During her arrest, her fingerprints were taken. This data would become the key to solving a 12-year-old mystery. Investigators traveled to Wang Li's hometown, a small village in Anhui. The house was old and worn down, home to her 90-year-old father. Her 2 older brothers had moved to Jiangsu for work. When the police called, one of the brothers hesitated before replying. "My sister? She died in 2008. We already knew that." No shock, no horror at hearing she had been found inside an iron barrel. The investigators sensed something was wrong. Then came the statement that deepened their suspicions. She died from hemorrhage due to an ectopic pregnancy. A seemingly reasonable explanation, but with no medical records or official confirmation. The investigators headed to Jiangsu to dig deeper. There, they discovered a shocking truth. Wang Li's family had never reported her missing. They firmly believed she had died from natural causes and saw no need for further investigation. But when asked who told them about Wang Li's death, both brothers fell silent. They exchanged uncertain glances. After much persuasion, they finally mentioned a name, Wu Jun. Wu Jun, a truck driver from Wuxi, the last man to be with Wang Li before she disappeared, a mysterious figure no one truly knew. According to her brother, in 2006, after a divorce, Wang Li left her hometown for Wuxi. There, she worked as a massage parlor employee where she met Wu Jun. She later moved in with him. Wang Li's brothers rarely kept in touch with her. The last thing they heard, through a fellow villager in 2008, was that she was pregnant. But Wang Li had never informed her family herself, and no one knew the identity of the child's father. Lunar New Year 2009. The family waited for Wang Li to return home, but she never came. Repeated calls went unanswered. They assumed she was busy with her new life. After a long, anxious wait, her 2 brothers traveled to Wuxi to find her. Without an exact address, they spent 3 days wandering, asking every acquaintance about their missing sister. Eventually, they found Wu Jun in a small tea shop. The man showed no panic, no attempts to avoid them. Instead, he remained eerily calm and dropped a bombshell. Wang Li is dead. According to Wu Jun, Wang Li died due to an ectopic pregnancy, which led to hemorrhaging. He described in great detail how she collapsed in pain, lost consciousness, and was rushed to the hospital, but could not be saved. More disturbingly, he claimed Wang Li's body had been cremated immediately afterward. No documents, no hospital records were ever shown. The family had no choice but to believe him. Wu Jun even handed them 50,000 yuan, a large sum at the time, a so-called compensation for their loss. Since Wang Li had previously suffered a near-fatal ectopic pregnancy, her brothers saw no reason to doubt Wu Jun's words. They took the money and left without investigating further. From that moment, Wang Li ceased to exist. No funeral, no mourning relatives. She was erased from life, as if she had never been. The police now turned their attention to Wu Jun, the last man to see Wang Li alive. Every piece of evidence pointed to him as suspect number one. Wu Jun was born in 1975 in a small village in Jiangsu province. He came from a modest farming family and grew up in poverty. However, he was not the type to strive for success. From an early age, he displayed violent tendencies. He was controlling and aggressive. In school, he once brutally beat a classmate into the hospital over a petty insult. As an adult, Wu Jun never pursued higher education nor continued his family's farming trade. He drifted through odd jobs, loading docks, construction work, even working as a nightclub bouncer. His life changed in 1998 when he saved enough money to buy a second-hand truck. He became a long-haul truck driver, traveling across eastern China. In 2002, he got married. However, the marriage was plagued by his abusive tendencies. His wife endured years of beatings before finally filing for divorce in 2005. 2006. Wu Jun met Wang Li. At the time, she had just arrived in Wuxi, struggling to find work. She landed a job at a massage parlor where Wu Jun was a frequent customer. May 24, 2020, Wu Jun was arrested. He was taken into police custody without resistance. He neither shouted nor struggled. He simply bowed his head and walked in silence. In the interrogation room, Wu Jun immediately denied everything. He claimed he had nothing to do with Wang Li's disappearance, insisting that she had died from a medical condition, not at his hands. But the police were not so easily fooled. They placed solid evidence on the table: fingerprints, DNA results. Under mounting pressure, Wu Jun began to crack. He still tried to evade the truth, fabricating another story. Wang Li had run away with another man, and he knew nothing about it. But when the police laid out a photograph of the iron barrel retrieved from the river, Wu Jun's face changed. His composure shattered instantly. "All right, I'll tell everything." His voice weakened, as if the 12-year burden had finally collapsed. From this moment, the truth was revealed. 2006, he met Wang Li. At first, she was just another woman he had casual flings with. But proximity breeds attachment. He decided to keep Wang Li close, renting her an apartment just a few streets away from his home so he could visit her whenever he wanted. Wang Li had no idea he was already married with children. Wu Jun hid this fact, continuing to act as a devoted single man who loved her dearly. But everything fell apart in mid-2007 when Wang Li accidentally found a family photo of Wu Jun. When she confronted him, he could not deny it. Wang Li wanted to break up. She refused to be the other woman in his marriage. But Wu Jun refused to let go. He threatened her, tried to persuade her, and even offered her money to stay quiet. With no real choice, Wang Li stayed, but she kept her distance. Wu Jun noticed the change and became increasingly unstable and short-tempered. Early 2008, Wang Li discovered she was pregnant. At first, she kept it a secret, but by the third month, she could no longer hide it. She told Wu Jun, and that was when everything spiraled out of control. She demanded he divorce his wife and marry her. June 15, 2008, Wu Jun went to Wang Li's apartment. Another heated argument erupted over the divorce. Wang Li threatened to expose everything to his wife if he refused. The shouting escalated. Wu Jun, already a hot-tempered man, snapped. He lunged at Wang Li. In a blind rage, he grabbed an electrical cord and strangled her. When Wang Li stopped moving, he let go. But it was too late. She was dead. This was not premeditated. There was no plan. Panic took over. Wu Jun dragged her body to the center of the room, locked the door, and tried to think. He couldn't dispose of the body immediately. Too many people were around during the day. He needed a plan. He left the apartment, leaving the body behind, and drove off. June 16, 2008, Wu Jun went to a metal workshop, ordering a custom-made iron barrel, sealed on 3 sides, with iron bars on the 4th. He claimed it was for special cargo transportation. That afternoon, the barrel was delivered. Wu Jun loaded it into his truck and drove back to the apartment, inspecting it carefully. Late at night, he returned to the apartment and stuffed Wang Li's body into the barrel. The limited space forced him to curl her body unnaturally. To avoid detection, he welded the barrel shut on 3 sides, leaving the bars exposed to make it appear less suspiciously heavy. He then cleaned the apartment thoroughly, erasing all traces of the crime. Finally, he drove his truck to the Taijiao Highway Bridge and dumped the barrel into the river. Days passed, yet no news surfaced on the media about a recovered body. No one inquired about Wang Li. Wu Jun started believing his plan was flawless. No one knew she was gone. No one was looking for her. A year after the murder, Wu Jun filed for divorce, citing an unstable career and concerns about his children's future. He left Jiangsu, moved to another city, and continued working as a truck driver, attempting to start a new life. But he never imagined that in 2020, a nationwide effort to solve cold cases would bring him back to his past. December 2020, the Intermediate People's Court of Taizhou City opened the trial against Wu Jun. The case had captured national attention. A forgotten murder from 12 years ago was finally exposed. Wu Jun was charged with murder, corpse disposal, and obstruction of justice. He entered the courtroom with his head down, avoiding all eye contact. The plaintiff was Wang Li's family. Her 90-year-old father and 2 brothers sat in the courtroom, their expressions blank. For over a decade, they had believed she had died from hemorrhage. Now the truth shattered them. When questioned, Wu Jun confessed to everything, but tried to lessen his punishment, claiming it was an act of passion, not premeditated murder. The prosecutor immediately refuted his claim. The custom-ordered iron barrel, the disposal planning, and his calculated departure from his family all proved this was premeditated. The defense attorney argued for a reduced sentence, citing Wu Jun's remorse, but the severity of the crime was undeniable. The court ruled that this was an intentional murder, meticulously planned and executed. The victim was not only murdered but erased from existence for 12 years. At 4:30 p.m., after hours of deliberation, the court sentenced Wu Jun to death, with execution to be carried out upon completion of the appeal process. The case was officially closed. Justice had been served, but nothing could undo the 12 years of injustice suffered by a young woman and her unborn child. This video concludes here. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.